When you think about kettlebell testing, you think about the snatch test. Whether you are getting certified through RKC or Strong First, which are the two most common and most highly regarded kettlebell certifications, or through a lot of the other kettlebell certifications as well, that's the test that people worry about. That's the test that you're going to have to pass in order to get your certification. And the snatch test is also done in a lot of competitions. I did a competition twice through, it was called the Tactical Challenge through Strong First, and it was a 5-minute snatch test. So if you're unfamiliar with what the snatch test is, it is 5 minutes to try to accomplish at least 100 snatches. Now you can break that up however you want. You don't have to do 50 on one side, 50 on the other. You don't have to do X amount on one side before you go to the other side. You can break it up however you want. But I've seen a lot of people fail, and I've started to see a lot of people starting to practice for the upcoming test. So I thought that I'd give some tips on how to make it possible, how to simplify it a little bit so that you feel ready and you're able to knock it out on your first try. Okay, so first things first, 100 snatches in 5 minutes. If you break that up, that turns into 20 snatches a minute. 100 in 5 minutes sounds like a lot. 20 in 1 minute, not so terrible, right? So if you look at it that way, you're like, okay, I can do that. The next thing you want to do is have a little bit of a game plan. How many do you want to do per side, ideally, before you switch it out? One thing to really consider is that every time you switch hands, that's going to take up some really valuable time. So it's not like you want to alternate your snatches every single time. You don't want to just do 5 and 5. That might take up too much time as well. I would suggest, if you're capable of doing it, giving yourself the idea of either knocking it out in sets of 10, so maybe 10 on the right, 10 on the left, or as you build up strength and you practice, being able to go into the test with the idea of doing 25, 25, 25, 25. That way, when you think of it that way, you're like, okay, 25, I can do 25. 25 and 25, 50. You're already halfway there, and then you're able to push through that little bit more. The next thing to keep in mind, it is going to hurt. The kettlebell snatch test, this is an endurance test. It's also a way to measure how good you are at your kettlebell snatches. If your form sucks, you're not going to be able to pass this. So make sure your kettlebell snatch is perfect, and you can just check out this video if you want to make sure that you're doing your snatch correct. And also just embrace the suck. Doing that many reps over and over again, it's going to be hard on your cardiovascular system. This is an endurance-based challenge. It's going to be hard on your hands. If your coach allows you to, it doesn't hurt to have wrist guards. Some coaches allow it, some don't. Just make sure to verify, and also make sure that you have chalk. You're going to want chalk, and I would suggest, if you feel the need to switch, to try to get to that 50 rep mark before you add more chalk. But go into it well chalked up and ready to go. So what are some ways to practice? Well, like I said, the goal is to do 20 per minute. So start practicing with doing 20 rep intervals. Do 20 reps on your right hand, take a minute or two to rest, 20 minutes on your left hand, take a minute or two to rest, and I would do that until you complete 100 to 200 reps in a go. It's always better when you're practicing before the test or your challenge to do more, so that when you're ready to go, you're over prepared, super confident, and you know without a doubt you'll be able to get it done. Now, at the beginning, if you're just starting, I wouldn't necessarily knock it out in 20 rep chunks. I would probably do 5 on the right, 5 on the left, 5 on the right, 5 on the left, and then rest. And then I'd work myself up to being able to do 2 on the right, 2 on the left, and then rest. And then working that up to being able to do 20 on the right, then rest, 20 on the left, then rest. And then as you continue to go more and more through that process, try to shorten up that rest time. So when you're first getting started, maybe that rest period is 90 seconds. And then into week 2 of your training, I would shorten that time into 60 seconds. And then I would shorten that into your 3rd week into probably 45 seconds. I wouldn't go from 60 seconds to 30 seconds. That's a really big jump when it comes to resting between exercises. But with time, I would do that. And go ahead and set that out as a game plan. Write out a training plan ahead of time and actually stick to it. Now here's a really important tip that I learned from watching other people that were struggling to get their reps done. If you have to put your kettlebell down to rest, which is okay to do, totally fine, but do not walk away from the kettlebell. That is precious time of walking away, walking back, and then still trying to take that mental to get started again, okay? And then also when it comes to these little tips, you're gonna possibly rip your hands. And that's gonna make it easy to say like, oh no, I give up. You just kind of gotta get through it. So one of my nasty stories is when I went through my RKC training, my actual whole palm, because you're going through all of the training experiences before your actual test, right? You're going through the entire course, and then at the end of the weekend is when they go, all right, let's do your physical test now so that we can see if you pass. So your hands are already tired from practicing kettlebells for 8 hours a day for multiple days. And so by the time I got to my snatch test, all of a sudden I felt this pull and looked down, and the whole palm of my hand had ripped off into the ground. And I remember my coach that was counting the reps looking at me kind of like, oh no, but come on, you can keep going, keep going. And luckily I was able to pull it together and finish out. But man, that was very, very hard. And then finally, do not forget to use your legs in your snatch. Now, I know that goes without saying because you know how to do a proper snatch, but as you start to get fatigued, you're gonna wanna just pull it up. But remember, focus on those legs, focus on your hamstrings and your glutes to help power it up. And that can really help give you a second wind. When you feel your shoulders starting to get tired, ask yourself, are you digging your feet into the ground? Are you utilizing the muscles in your entire body and not just trying to fling that weight up into the sky? So those are your tips to finish and get the 100 reps done. The number one rule is to practice. If you are 3 weeks away from your training, you gotta get started right now. I would be starting the sets of 20 intervals with the 10 and the 10. If you have 4 to 6 weeks, that would be ideal, if not 6 to 8 weeks, where you can start going in out a little bit slower and doing 5 and 5. Now, what weight should you be practicing? For the test, it depends on what your weight is. So the weights for women go from 12 kilograms to a 16 kilogram, depending on what your weight is. I don't know what the men use. I think the men use most commonly the 24 kilogram, which is 53 pounds. I would recommend practicing, if it's possible, with the weight that is one up higher than what you should be using. At least not necessarily for all of your workouts, but put in a heavy snatch session into your training. So if you know you're going to be using the 26 pound, which is your 12 kilogram, I would try practicing with the 14 kilogram as much as possible, or again, at least once per week with high volume snatches, so that you get used to that heavier bell, and so that when you are using that lighter bell, it just goes right up. It is a miracle worker. And the same thing happened when I did a kettlebell competition as well, where I was able to use the 14 kilogram versus the 16 kilogram, which is what I thought I was supposed to be using. And I think for the 5-minute test, I was able to knock out like 130 snatches or something in 5 minutes. And I really contribute that to practicing with the heavier weight and getting stronger with that, so that when I grabbed the lighter weight, it was really no hassle at all. So those are my tips on getting started, on getting your test done. Now, I have not done the kettlebell snatch test in years. So I figured it would be fun for me to set up the camera real fast, and let's see if I can still do it. What do you guys think? Go ahead and put in your guesses. Am I going to be able to get all 100 in less than 5 minutes? Now, what I will say is, even if I get it in less than 5 minutes, I'm not going to go far and beyond. I got to teach kettlebells this week. I'm not going to kill my hands for nothing. But if I get to 100 in under 5 minutes, I'll be happy with that. All right, so give me 2 seconds. Hopefully this will help you. If it does, comment down below. And I would love to know, have you ever done the 5-minute snatch test? And if you have you gotten to the 100 rep? Or is that something that you are going after currently? And if so, what for? Just for fun, because it is like the almighty kettlebell test? Or are you getting ready for a certification or a competition? I'd love to hear down below, and make sure to subscribe, hit that little bell so that you don't miss any future episodes. And if you have any requests for fitness, recipes, or fit challenges, and we can make that happen, you guys. This is our community. All right, wish me luck. I'm a little nervous. Okay, I have everything just about set. I've got my wrist guards, I got my 16 kilogram, I got my chalk, I got my timer. Quick tip, I set my timer for 5 minutes and 10 seconds just to give yourself that 10-second warning to get yourself ready, versus sitting go on 5 minutes and then you have to shuffle to your kettlebell, right? Also, I probably shouldn't have to say this, but I will just in case. make sure to take off your jewelry, your rings and your Fitbit. I am gonna put my Fitbit actually on my ankle and see if it'll still read my heart rate, because I would be curious to see how high your heart rate gets during just this 5 minutes. That's what I keep telling myself. It's only 5 minutes. We can do 5 minutes during this 5-minute test. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of data we can collect. Oh, and my other really important piece of information, I promise this is the last thing, is put together a fun playlist. Pick 2 of your favorite songs, which will take about 5 minutes, right? That get you pumped up. Most of the time when you're at your certification, they'll even ask you have pump up songs. I can remember back in the day, people wanting to play Eminem, or there was some like old school Britney Spears, whatever song it is that you get excited about that makes you move, play it. I wish that I could play some songs right now, but YouTube would frown upon that. And I'm using my phone to film this versus the camera. It just makes it a lot easier for filming exercise. So I can't listen to music, but we'll do what we can do. All right, chalk it up. Whew. 2, 1, go. Seconds. Had 1:22 left on the timer. Whew. Oh, my legs are shaking. Oh man. Okay. So how I broke it up was I was able to do 25 and 25, and then I did 10 and 10, and then 15 and 15. Ideally, I wish I'd be able to do 25, 15, 10. Mentally, it would have just been nice. Say, all right, you only have 10 left instead of 15. But I was also able to do it without putting the kettlebell down. So that's a +2. At that last set, I thought about it, y'all. Oh, so use those tips so you can pass your kettlebell course, certification, or rock out your next competition. Now, obviously, if it's a competition, you're not gonna put it down right when you hit 100. You gotta keep going. But like my dad said, when I did my competition, all of a sudden I heard him yell and said, if it doesn't hurt, you're not doing it right. Push through that hurt. Fight for the reps. As long as your form is solid, keep going. Whew. Good job, y'all. If you enjoyed this challenge, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And next week, we will be back in the kitchen with a fun recipe. Thank you guys so much. If you want to do more kettlebell training with me, make sure to head over to my website, fitwomensweekly.com, where we host live workouts through our Fit Women's Weekly Live program, Monday through Friday, 2 days a week. And there's also not each. So there's 2 workouts plus a coaching class every single day. That coaching class, we work on skills like snatches or get-ups and windmills or barbell work. So definitely check it out. Oh, all right, now I gotta go breathe.